now he has sold tens of millions of albums. He is a Grammy Award winner. He is a New York Times bestseller. He's got platinum albums, gold albums. Weird Al Yankovic, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure, thank you.
You are appearing tonight in Baltimore at Rams Head Live. It's the Apocalypse Tour. What will audiences expect from the Apocalypse Tour?
They should keep their expectations extremely low, because boy, I'll blow their minds.
Wow. So low expectations for the apocalypse, and then that way you can exceed expectations. That's the plan?
It's the apocalypse, I should point out.
Tell me, I'm curious about your career because, I mean, I listened to you when I was a kid. My dad would listen with me, in the 80s, your great parodies there. And now I got to tell you, my kids show me this YouTube video that they love called Stuck at the Drive-In, and I'm watching it, I'm laughing at it, and then I realize it's you. You did this thing. How have things evolved for you with YouTube and social media from the days in the 80s?
Well, I still got the same warped sense of humor, but it's just found in different places now. Back when I started out, there was a thing called MTV that actually played music videos, and that sort of evolved into something different. And now, if you want to see videos, you go online, you search for them, and they're video on demand. So, I mean, I'm still doing the same thing. I like to think that I do it better now than I did when I was starting out. I've been practicing.
Yeah.
So, and I've had the same band the whole time, and they're amazing. They do every genre imaginable, and, we give it our best shot.
Well, of course, our guest here is Weird Al Yankovic. He's appearing tonight at Rams Head Live. Doors open at 7 o'clock. The show's at 8 o'clock. And do you pretty much just do the whole catalog of Weird Al Yankovic parody songs?
Well, that would take us till like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Really? How many have you done? It's got to be over 100 now, right?
Something like that. I'm working on my 14th album, so there's a lot in the catalog. But I mean, it's a fairly long show. It's a little over 2 hours long, and we do all the greatest hits, and we do a lot of stuff from the Apocalypse album, and a few deep cuts here and there. So it's a nice sampling of the oeuvre, as it were.
And I think Weird Al aficionados or fans will know that you started out with Dr. Demento, and you had submitted your parody songs to him, and he sort of shone the light on you, got you publicity, and you really took off from there. Do you think that with YouTube and social media and what goes on the internet today, the next generation of Weird Al's can sort of break through without a Dr. Demento giving them publicity?
Well, I mean, YouTube is kind of the equal opportunity portal. I mean, back when I was starting out, there was no such thing, and Dr. Demento was the only person who would conceivably play my crummy music. And now anybody can upload their crummy music, and if it's good enough, people will pay attention.
Now, were you inspired by, like, Alan Sherman, the whole Hello Mutta, Hello Fada kind of thing? I mean, that's the first person I think of when I think of these kind of songs.
Actually, right before you called, I was right in the middle of reading an Alan Sherman biography called Overweight Sensation. So, yeah, Alan is a huge hero of mine, him, Tom Lehrer, Spike Jones, Frank Zappa, a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Stan Freberg, absolutely.
Did you ever hang with Frank Zappa back in the day? I would imagine you two would sort of get along. You both have the same kind of sense of humor and very irreverent.
I wouldn't go so far as to casually say that I hung with him, but I did meet him once or twice. I actually met him when I was working in the mailroom of a radio syndication company. And this was before I had a real record deal, but Frank knew me because I had a modest hit on the Demento show called Another One Rides the Bus. And he said, oh, yeah, my son Dweezil likes that song. And he actually got my autograph for his son Dweezil, which blew my mind at the time because, Frank was my hero.
Right. No, I forgot about Another One Rides the Bus. What's the one people come to you most when they stop you on the street and say, I love that? Is it the Michael Jackson stuff, like Eat It and Fat?
I've been around long enough that everybody's got a different favorite song. I mean, I've had a number of hits, over my career, and everybody's got their own favorites. I mean, it could be Eat It or Another One Rides the Bus or Yoda or Smells Like Nirvana, Amish Paradise, Saga Begins. I mean, everybody's got their own favorite, which is really cool.
Well, and to bring it back to my kids, I have to tell you the parody that you did on the Star Wars Episode 1, the to take on Bye Bye Miss American Pie.
Right. The Saga Begins.
Oh, the Saga Begins. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, they play it over and over and over, stuck in my head, can't get it out of my head. And now when I hear that song, I think of your parody instead of the original song.
I've heard the same thing happen to Don McLean, who wrote American Pie. He said that his kids were fans of my parody to the point where they were singing it around the house all the time, and it got inside his brain, and every now and then on stage it would kind of mess him up.
All right, so now speaking of kids, you're a parent now. Most of your fans from the 80s, of course, are parents now, and so, of course, you are now now a children's book author. I'm fascinated by this. Your first book, When I Grow Up, that was a #4 New York Times bestseller, which is phenomenal, and now you've got a new one coming out?
Yes, it's called My New Teacher and Me. It's officially out on the 25th of this month, but you can pre-order it now. And it's sort of I guess it's a sequel of sorts. It features the same character from the first book, Billy, who's a very imaginative 8-year-old kid, and he's got a brand new teacher who doesn't quite see eye to eye with him. Mr. Booth is a very by the rules kind of authoritarian, and they clash a little bit. So the book is sort of a celebration of imagination and a free spirit.
Do you think, I mean, because you've got kids, they've gone through the school systems, do you think that there's not as much emphasis on creativity now, and there's such an emphasis on grades and testing and all of that in academics, that I think as a parent, I can say from my perspective, that creativity and imagination is not as much of an emphasis anymore? And look at you. I mean, obviously you've got an amazing imagination. How would you fare in school these days?
It's hard to say. I mean, every school is different. I think my daughter, I'm not going to say where she goes to school, but she goes to a school that I think really encourages imagination, and it's a very creative environment for her. I know I would assume that a lot of schools are not like that. So I think that's something that they should definitely make part of the curriculum and definitely try to push.
Well, we're in Washington, D.C., and politics, government is always a big part of the conversation here on this station. I wonder, you have somehow been able to steer clear of that. Is it difficult to do satire and do parody but never actually venture into politics? It certainly makes you have a broad appeal, but is it challenging for you?
Well, I mean, there are people that do that very well. The Capitol Steps are wonderful at doing that kind of comedy. I stay out of politics for two main reasons, one of which is that I don't like to divide my fan base, because when you do political humor, oftentimes you have to take a perceived side, and that alienates half of your fan base. And the other thing is a lot of political humor is very topical to the point where the song would not be as relevant a couple months after the fact. So I don't want, songs in my catalog which appear that dated. So those are the two main reasons I don't do political comedy.
Well, whatever you're doing, it's working out. Here you are. It is June of 2013, and you're still touring. And tonight, again, it's at the Ram's Head Live in Baltimore, Weird Al Yankovic. It's the Apocalypse Tour. This show's at 8 o'clock. And best of luck with it tonight. And I know that the good folks of Baltimore and all of Maryland are going to come out and enjoy it. And thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.